Looking at these two compositions,
I think that it is extremely one-sided. In fact, he's won a few of them since losing to Kingen. And I think that, you know, after the double revenge worlds has been owned, I think he's going to be able to do it again here. Let's jump into the Rift, game number 1.
시간사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, I think that is enough of my explanation as to why I think T1's going to win, because I actually don't think they will in this game. I think that this draft is too good for NONGSHIM. Have to bring it down to earth once more, Chronicler. Because I think these players are really good, and this draft edge is absurd.
Oh my god.
Okay, they just walk past one another. That's a bit cute.
Yeah, so Lands, I think, tried to sneak it.
Oh no, he's been baited. Will get knocked up, has to flash. Double flashes to follow Permafrost! There's first blood going over to Jiu. And I hadn't factored that in when I said that I thought the draft looked good.
I'm a bit confused as to why this happened.
It's called Lehen's Voodoo.
Lehen's mind control.
Yeah, absolutely.
Classic.
We have seen this many a time before.
It's like, oh no, I'm caught. No.
Oh, I'm out of position again, guys. And oftentimes, this is why it's so genius. Oftentimes, he is straight up just caught. But then there's those couple of times that can really ruin the game for you.
Well, that's a rough start for T1. Kill going over to the Xayah. Gonna start with a very early dagger. And be feeling very good about that one. If you are Geo, I don't know what the experience situation is. Doesn't look very good for them right now, but obviously they would have to give up full control of the wave. So we'll see how that stands when the crash actually comes through. It's also not the end of the world. Early kill was nice, but not going to be game deciding. But I'm just wondering what the communication was, because their read must be that no one else was there. Because the level 1 obviously is never going to be favored for them, right? Because you're playing into Sejuani with a good amount of melees on the top side, and that's just not really something that you can realistically deal with. As we do see now level 2 hit here, as they have not. I think they missed, like, based on the experience, like maybe 1 minion.
Yeah, they did. And Lehen's actually, even without, you know, the support item, picked up a couple of them that he knew that G wasn't going to be able to get. So good guy Lehen's making sure that he gets the money at least. Goes to someone. Kinging up here, getting pushed in by the Ornn, who's feeling fantastic. We expected this to be the case, given how not only good Doran is on the champion, but the matchup being pretty good into the Ornn. As now Jiu going a bit aggressive here. Another grand entrance comes down as Gumayusi in a bit of trouble. 250 health as he walks away. But the Lovers duo certainly working out so far for NONGSHIM down in this bottom lane.
So hard to try and lane when the early stats can make such a big difference, right? Just having that extra attack speed available, being able to put those feathers down just a little bit faster. Definitely powerful as Indigo again.
Yeah, here's another one. Bladecaller is going to root carrier for a few moments, but Gio is lit on fire, doesn't want to go too aggressive. They do get double summoners out of the bottom lane in exchange for 2 on the side of T1 as well.
Early fights really can go either way, particularly pre-6. I do think that NONGSHIM have the advantage once Faker's ultimate becomes available. Akali gains a ton of playmaking potential. This look like with the topside prio that was there for Doran, as well as the bot side prio that is double scuttle here for Owner on the Pantheon. As we take a look, I think that of these, really the one you're looking at are going to be Lucid and Owner. Outside of that,
yeah,
a lot of those players have obviously been struggling, even outside of their champions.
Yep, and oftentimes it wasn't necessarily the Pantheon's fault, although there have been some grand starfalls that have gone in odd directions. You know, some interesting execution of those particular ultimates.
Yeah, the timing on those can really throw you off. You can like, okay, I'm reading this fight.
Like it
I know
looks
what's
good
happening
here, and then you give it a few seconds, and then it doesn't.
Yeah, but you've pressed the button, and you basically within a second are like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where even looking a few seconds into the future is hard. Yeah. It's like, you're talking about like what, like 4 seconds?
And also you have to make the play extraordinarily quickly to capitalize as effectively as possible.
Oh, of course. But it's just, even those couple of seconds in League situations can change completely depending on cooldowns, depending on damage that gets done. We have the lane swaps come through early on here for a possible grub setup. Do continue to see the prio from Guma and Keria. And we don't really expect this early kill to change the lane, and I think Guma and Keria have been doing a really good job of making sure that that gold lead kind of shrinks again.
Yep. Oh, here's the on-horn. Everyone's flashing in, and Ona just going to put a stick into the little yodel. Takes down the Rumble here. I would have said first blood, but it wasn't. That one had happened already. But still, first real kill after the laning phase started. As in goes Lehens, and out goes Lehens.
Big win. That is Doran getting further ahead. He's now a level up on Kingen, by the way. Like, that was a really... And this entire wave is, I think, going to be missed. This was a really big gank, because it further accelerates Owner, and Owner, we have established, needs to be in a good spot for, I think, T1 to do well. Kind of goes both ways. If he's playing poorly, I think T1 suffers disproportionately, and, you know, being a jungler on a team that isn't having the best of form also kind of ties into that. But if he does accelerate, generally, he looks very, very good. The lane pressure comes through now, and it's Doran doing a lot of the heavy lifting there, right? When you look at the health bar of Kingen going into that play, he was basically just served up to this Pantheon on a silver platter. Yeah,
Kingen really not having a great time so far in this game. This is a champion that he has found a lot of success on, and we'll just have to see whether some of these team fights can turn things around for the Rumble, because as the game goes on, Bjorn just gets better and better. You know, being able to give like 5,000 gold worth of stats to your team sounds pretty good.
Having the best non-committal hearties or hard engage in the game.
Doesn't sound too bad.
It's not bad. It's nice. It's good stuff.
Well, NONGSHIM, this is not the power spike yet, right? They want to hit that mid-game. They want to be able to get these skirmishes started around the Sejuani and around this Yone, who is also not having the greatest time. Like, Faker's laning on this Akali has been fantastic so far. You can see 250 gold is going to be his advantage at this point in time. He's got his Hex Tech cookie completed, and things looking pretty bright for T1 so far, but it's also only a 400 gold lead team-wide, so it's not really meaning too much. As Gideon going to be moving over towards Calyx, seeing whether they can find a little bit of an angle, or whether maybe there's going to be a dragon looked at before that bottom side of the map, or bottom side of the jungle, sorry, is going to be taken here by Gideon.
Looks like a shove there to ensure Calyx can get it back in. Going to be having a decent amount of gold here, only sitting on a Vamp Scepter for now, so we'll see. The one-item spike for NONGSHIM is obviously amazing. And when it comes to Owner, Faker, and Guma, it's kind of similar, right? Like, that is one of the interesting things when evaluating these compositions.
-1, by the way.
Oh. That's fine.
Yeah, Doran was doing so well, and now he's behind.
Relative to cannons.
The amount of cannons, exactly.
Which
very
some would argue is the most important stat in League of Legends. Oh, that's
right.
W used.
Yeah, Gideon looking for the angle here, and he should be able to find it. There's the permafrost, there's the ulti, and holding people in place is something that Sejuani is pretty good at. No flash available. The equalizer was probably unnecessary, but it looked very, very cool. And so that is going to be the return kill, some revenge here for Kingen.
I think the read there from NONGSHIM was that if we don't use the equalizer, Kingen can TP. Oh my god!
He's flashing for it. They find the knockup on a carrier as well. As he cleanses, he's just ignoring Ona, who will be able to protect his cow. And there's the deadly flourish to stop Lehens from going any further forward. That is 3 summoner spells, though, invested by NONGSHIM just to push them away. And so maybe NONGSHIM coming off a little worse for wear.
Definitely not worth, but it does echo what Lehens said about playing with Vital and Geo respectively. And I quote, Vital's a bit more stable, Geo is a lot more aggressive. And I think we saw that right there. You know, he's got the dog in him, he's looking for the play. Was this a good play? No, because as mentioned, Alistair flashed, which he doesn't really care about too much. Whereas there were, particularly the Xayah flash, I think, is the biggest deal, right? Like, Xayah flash is a really important summoner on any AD carry, but particularly on her, because even with her ult, you can buy safety, but you can't buy space. So not being able to displace yourself is definitely a big sacrifice to be made. But yeah, so going back to that bot side play.
Owner can't. Oh, he can flash, so because he didn't have to use it last time. As over the wall goes Calyx. I'm not sure about this one because he's now getting closed in on. There's the ram, but he flashes away. Now Faker looking for an angle onto Gideon, who has to flash. As there's the Grand Starfall, everyone piling in as we have zoomed out so far. I didn't even know this was possible. It's absolutely insane. Down goes the jungler. Calyx now in trouble, but he's able to dash his way out. And it is just one kill, but man, that zoom was amazing.
Truly, technology in League of Legends.
That was the greatest zoom of all time.
Never ever heard you say stuff like that.
It was really.
It was a really long zoom.
It was like we had 2 full.
So
lanes.
I was mostly looking to the top part of the zoom, which was unfortunately for Calyx, as you highlighted, not the cleanest play. Ended up going down, or not going down, but ended up dragging his jungler, and then Guma was able to get the kill. What I really want to highlight on there is one of the biggest advantages T1 have had, and this goes back to ever since the core of this team has come together, is their willingness and ability to go for these mid-game skirmishes and play them out really nicely. So Calyx
missing every button was a bit of a problem.
Yeah, it doesn't help. Maybe they felt there was a timer on the flash that owner didn't have it available. I don't know. And then here we have Gideon, unfortunately, yeah, never gonna get out of that. Like, does a decent job of sidestepping, but there's just way too much damage.
In the meantime, NONGSHIM get themselves the first dragon, so there's at least that.
But right there we see the value of how much long range T1 have when it comes to catching people, right? Because Akali obviously needs to be in melee form, as does Owner. But you have on one give the Ornhorn being used, as there is an equalizer.
Yeah, these harpoons are really connecting now for King, and actually some fancy footwork by the Rumble. So winning out on that particular trade, and has moved into a gold advantage.
Calyx.
Off the back end of that play is, yeah, Calyx is going to try and unbind the soul as best he can. Great knock-up as the ulti comes through as well. Calyx actually managing to do pretty well in the fight, but still, Faker with the perfect execution is going to be able to take him down, and Gideon not able to offer enough support. So the woes for this mid laner continue.
The side laning of T1 is a little bit better. It's the Bash Bros, Owner, and Carrier running around the map, is blowing people up.
Yeah.
Now we're in a situation where Faker has a extremely substantial side lane lead. Gio, he's here mid, pushing away, but even with Doran, you know, taking a bit of a beating there in the top lane, hasn't given up a single play thus far. Take another look here, so they know this is coming. Calyx is able to dodge the E, which keeps him alive for a little longer. But the ult from Gideon goes wide. He maybe can CC Owner. I think there's a world where the Yone actually lives, right? There is so much sustain in the kit. Not going to be the case. Also think the angle there was a little bit rough, right? Like if it was 2 seconds earlier, you could probably turn around that play. Not going to be the case though. And T1, the squad lead slowly extending. And yeah, as I was highlighting, even though a lot of the characters are melee, you do have a lot of effective range as Doran.
Doran, I don't know. Okay, it's going to be a 2v2. They get the knock-up bouncy castle here for Kingen, but the equalizer was doing so much work. The flash comes down and Calyx just picks up the kill, and somehow Kingen limps away.
Jokes about Ornn aside, the damage isn't quite there. I guess he's only been training the tank part, not the mage and warlock.
They did nerf the mage, warlock, assassin, fighter, warrior.
Yeah, they have. They really have,
those
many times. So I don't want to put this on Doran. I think it's more of a champion issue. He only has Kanik Rukern, right? But what we did see there is that thanks to the timely arrival of Calyx, good TP there, ends up turning the fight around. That is a big shutdown going over.
The world's shortest teleport here by Kingen, as he just wanted to try and put the pressure onto Faker. I'm not entirely sure. I was a bit perplexed by that one, but that is still absolutely fine. Calyx going to be going back to his soul, and I think one thing that you alluded to just before is the lack of damage. We're talking about, you know, Pantheon and the Ornn here. If Faker isn't able to just have some of the best Akali teamfights that we've ever seen, the lack of damage is going to be a real problem here for this composition as they get later into the game. So T1, unless they start that snowball rolling, Gumayusi gets way too big to handle. It's going to become more and more of a problem.
So one of the things that T1 can do, and that's why I think they're going to play towards if these mid-game skirmishes start to go kind of awry, is just play for side. Because your ability to collapse on side, I think, is way better.
Yeah.
In a front-to-back team fight, even with Ornn, which sounds kind of weird, but I do think you're going to struggle because you're playing into Rakan, you're playing into Xayah, you're playing into Sejuani and Rumble, right? There's so much team fighting power there. But Akali, I don't think will be matched by anyone inside. Like, neither Calyx nor King should be able to deal with him. And then you can very easily support with either the Jhin ult, with Pantheon ulting in, or even Doran can slow down, try and look for an engage as well. NONGSHIM, though, I think, as they should, continuously playing aggressive, continuously looking, and this first game dead even. And I want to remind everyone of the stakes. This game is a big deal. Atlas and I haven't gone off topic in 15 minutes.
Yeah, we've been seriously talking about this game. It's kind of crazy.
That says it all. I can't remember.
Is the zoom out still? That's still on topic.
No, that's very. Actually, that's more on topic than anything we've arguably ever said, because that was the coolest zoom ever.
It was the coolest zoom ever. No one's ever spoken about a zoom like that ever before. It's fast. And Scouts is going to try and do some damage here to Doran.
Gotta be careful. Now I'm like, okay, let's have a topic about observing, and then before you know it, we're talking about movies, Atlas.
Yeah,
I want to stay locked in.
Yeah, we need to.
Because it matters a lot. Even a single game win, again, can be the difference maker for NONGSHIM.
Yep, means everything for NONGSHIM, ladies and gentlemen.
And
this
DK,
is the biggest part. And DK and KT. But like, as far as the teams that are in this game, certainly means a whole lot more for NONGSHIM as the equalizer goes down. Doesn't manage to get the cannon, I'm pretty sure. That was a bit sad. Finished off by the turret.
T1 is kind of just playing for vibes.
They are kind of playing, but the vibes are really important, because after this match, they head off to Road to MSI looking to win a best of 5 against maybe even this team.
Could happen.
And so picking up a victory here, going to be a big deal. Of course, starting off on the red side, a little bit rough here for T1. They have benefited a lot from the first pick ability. And NONGSHIM being able to utilize that one here.
Oh, there's the collapse.
That's a big old knock-up as Keria is coming in. They're looking for an angle, and they want to get both of them. There is the ulti to come out. The ult comes through as well from Calyx, who looks to unbind the soul, and he's just dead. Last hit by the Shuriken. That is deadly. And now the Rift Herald is just going to pop down for fun and not do a whole lot.
Yeah, so Gideon tried to take the... He missed the bus. He tried to take the Rift Herald exit.
Yeah.
You know, just summon it. If he did it earlier, he actually would have
He might have been able to get the mid.
He would have. Like he could have left easily. Actually, in hindsight, I think he realized it too late. But because the moment the TP comes in, right, like they're really far overextended. The fact that Gideon gets caught there on the Krugs is the biggest thing. I think T1 was just happy to only pick up Calyx instead they got a 2-for-0 combo deal.
Yeah, but it was actually a really good heads-up play to not go all in on just getting the kill onto Gideon. Yep. They're like, wait a second, nah, we get both. Because Keria, he could have opted into it, right? But instead, he's like, no, let's just wait. I'm going to go wrap around. We're going to kill both of these guys.
Yeah, they were, I think, only expecting to get Calyx. And Calyx, I think, would have died anyway. Was going too aggressive for this turret. If Gideon goes for that earlier, he actually makes it, by the way. Like, he can get out.
Yeah.
But instead, the CC chain is obviously there. Nicely done by T1 not to let that Sejuani exit the premises. And instead, more kills going over, but the gold lead remains suspiciously close, as Ocean, for both of these teams, is so annoying to play into because there are a lot of beefy characters. I guess neither of them is playing poke, so at least that helps. I swear I've seen teams. I can think of at least 2 separate instances where DK picked a poke comp and then had to play into Ocean Soul and just I'm pretty sure it happened to T1 at some point as well. They're one of the other teams that really like those poke style comps.
Whoa, there's a flash over the grand entrance. Headbutt is going to go towards Faker. There's now Jiu getting stunned up and has to go into that Featherstorm pretty early on. Permafrost goes down. Jiu's trying to kite as best he can. That's the perfect execution. Max range from Faker is going to lock down the kill. He does die, but Calyx is also now in trouble as he does have to snap back. That is still Gideon picking up the kill there as he's in fantastic position. And Lehens is just dancing around this fight like a ballerina. What? And the harpoon just one-shots the Jhin. Is Rumble a better AD carry than Jhin? What the heck was that, Kingin? As that's an ace for NONGSHIM. That's a 5-for-1! Okay. I saw the start of that fight. I saw Faker go in, massacre the AD carry,
Okay.
and then it was all NONGSHIM.
I was ready to kind of criticize GU, as this is a classic T1 play. They go in on the river, see the AD carry. GU holds on to his ult and his sums for so long here, and at first it kind of looks like a mistake, but as it turns out, it ends up baiting Faker in. Faker goes extremely deep, ends up going down, and then how do they stay alive for so long? Look at this escape
there's no
from
damage.
Alex.
It's
right?
only Guma.
Yeah, because Faker blew, and again, not just Faker, but they blew so much, killing GU. And guess what? You killed GU. But unlike T1, there are free carries on this team. And Rumble is just cooking the entire... what?
Well, they're cooking steak, I guess. That's what they're having today. As now Owner is also in a whole lot of trouble. Faker dancing around this fight, though. He's got that perfect execution. Great knock-up to come through from Doran. As now Gideon will get taken down. Faker able to get out this time as the curtains have been called. But it's curtains for Doran before too long. And now an equalizer going to block off both Owner and Faker, and otherwise not do anything at all. So Gideon does go down. 2-for-1 trade at the minute, as that shuriken backflip kind of gorgeous there for Faker, but he's not going to go too far in. Man, I've seen Lee Sins make that play.
Oh, you know he wanted to. That finger was hovering, Atlas.
Oh, yeah.
This game is turning very quickly into MAME. If Guma positioned his ult a little bit better there and hit his first shot, that could have been a full wipe for NONGSHIM. That was dangerously close to T1 fully turning it around. Not quite gonna happen. And I gotta say, the lane positioning at Calyx and his early laning phase were not the best, but the man is doing his job in these team fights.
Oh, yeah. He's certainly locking in now.
You know what that is?
Shaking the sillies out.
That's challengers, babe.
It absolutely
As
is.
NONGSHIM, they're pulling trade. Look, these ults are not available for T1, and without their ults, I don't know if they can contest this.
Doran does have his. You can see Gumayushi still a long way away without his ultimate. Remember, he has 0 range from a deadly flourish. Let's see whether Owner can get in there and take this one down. The ultimate from Calyx says absolutely not as the ram comes in, and they take down Lahens. Chiu trying his very best to kite as Faker gets himself all the way back to his shroud and isn't going to be able to offer any more damage. And a Lahens for an Otacon. NONGSHIM would take that any day of the week.
The only one who might disagree with there is Lahens, and I think even he is wise enough to know.
He would have called it. He would have made the call, Chronic, you know that.
Carrier just gets blown up. Without his ultimate, Alistar really isn't that tanky. I want to look at how does T1 turn this around. I think it's Doran and Faker, like the damage and knock-up combo, plus Owner living, and then look at this ult from Guma. If he positions that a little bit different, and they're actually able to get another shot in, maybe they can at least trade for Lahens as well, as we take a look here. Calyx has just been on point. It starts with the perma, or the ultimate, the prison from Gideon, and then the follow-up is there. But right here, T1 really wants to try and extend this play with the Otacon debuff still there. But it's the recall and straight into another fight, Atlas.
Yes, this is what we'd be doing. Get out and get straight back in again. As Lahens is going to interrupt Faker. Chiu's going to take him down now. An equalizer on top of Gumayushi. And there is no one to defend him. Down goes both of the damage dealers. T1 have no way out. They are just cooked. This dragon is now going to be taken. That is a clean ace, an objective steal, and whatever the heck else NONGSHIM want to get.
I thought the 1 for 5 was the best deal they were going to get.
There's always a better deal, Chronicler. I learned that from Danny DeVito and Matilda back in the day.
And really what we're learning here again is that challengers reign supreme, because both Lahens and GU are looking sharp here, as T1 really want to deny this trade. Faker does nothing in this fight, and Guma, he doesn't die immediately, but he still doesn't do any damage. And this is what we said with this draft. This is what we were worried about.
Yeah.
And as we can see, as soon as Faker doesn't do heaps of damage, or Guma doesn't get to set up for an ult and kind of work on the outskirts of these fights, the fights just aren't playable. And now Otacon is there for NONGSHIM, so any fight will get even more snowbally. And there have been games where I think people kind of hone in on the draft for T1, and I'm like, I don't know, I think it's mostly gameplay. A lot of the Humble Life games kind of went that way.
Yep.
In this one, though, we had our reservations. And I think those reservations...
I was ready for them to be like, oh, even though we've got this almost unplayable draft, we're going to show you that it's really good. Yeah. It happens a lot. The nameplates are powerful. But they're not powerful enough, and especially not now. We're seeing that last fight was the perfect example of exactly what we were talking about.
And obviously, NONGSHIM is on blue side. I think the game at this point is fully in NONGSHIM's hands. We could see T1 get a crazy comeback, but I don't think it should happen. Particularly because NONGSHIM's comp is so good in the actual team fight, right? Often where you see teams kind of throw a lead is if their comps aren't good 5v5s. But if you're playing a side lane comp, which I think T1 really ideally want to play 1-4, you can't do that right now.
Well, Lehens is going to knock up Carrier, and Carrier is going to have to ult, but the CC is still raining down. Thankfully, Aftershock is going to be there. So with the ultimate and Aftershock, Carrier will be able to get out with at least a bit more than half of his health bar. NONGSHIM now, though, just full control. And Geo able to push up, and they will make it so dark on this top side of the map. Baron up and available. There's Brambleback going to be consumed by Gideon and the entire team as Lehens still looking for more and more angles. Doran tries his hand at face checking. And T1 need to do this because they need to try and get vision on this Baron because we mentioned NONGSHIM, they have damage. They destroy Baron. They've got a Rumble and a Zaya. So if they look at this...
Yone!
Yeah, and a Yone. This time around, though, they're going to look for the pick on towards this,
oh, he's real dead.
King. And then, yeah, he's really dead. They're going to be able to take that one. Calyx over this wall, though, and we'll see whether T1 can get here in time. 1,000 gold. He doesn't flash in early enough, and the Baron is secured. There's a Glacial Prison as well, as Gideon just trying to get himself out of there. NONGSHIM wanting to protect the Barons, and Ona is in so much trouble. They dive on top of Faker. He's knocked up forever, and they still don't have damage, ladies and gentlemen. Gumayushi gonna have to be chased out of this one, and we'll see whether he's gonna survive. The permafrost is in range, and it in fact just last hits him. They will trade their walking barbecue for a Baron and then just kill them anyway.
That's a fourth amazing deal for NONGSHIM. They just keep stringing these together.
It's extraordinary.
Lehens for Otacon, great deal. 1 for 5, wonderful. 5 for 0, I thought it didn't get better.
Well, there's a dragon as well.
Barbecue for Nash, that's a freebie. And the pick on Rumble is nice, but I want you to look at how much is invested here. This is free ultimates.
And the flash from Doran as well, which looked kind of cool and stuff, but you didn't need to do it.
Yeah, you really didn't. That wasn't necessary. And does it make a difference? I don't think so. Except that Ornald, right? Like if the Ornald's available here, maybe they can make a play. But instead, look at Faker's health bar.
Oh, he was mid shuriken backflip. I think he started the animation and then was just CC denied, wasn't able to get in, unless it was his ultimate, which would have been even worse.
As an Akali, like, trying to play the fights where the enemy team knows you're there, has more than enough CC, and is basically funneling you into a choke point. Because I understand why T1 is trying to fight there. They know the game is basically over, and you got to go for the Hail Mary fight after NONGSHIM just taken down Nash. But this first game is looking like the T1 draft not working out, but there is a good amount of power picks that I am worried that have already been taken away, right? Gumayushi's Jhin, I think, has been by far his best champion. That already off the table, and him not having the best performance on it, not a great sign.
Yep. And also being able to pick Rakan in a game 1 and not having it get punished by things like Poppy and the Talia is kind of huge as well. So Lehens getting a lot of advantages out of that. Speaking of which, he goes in, doesn't quite find Guma, and he's likely going to get popped. Does try and battle dance his way out, and in fact he does. Into the backline goes Faker, but they just see him and destroy him. The ulti from Calyx as well collects the rest of them, and NONGSHIM are just playing with their food at this point. It's a triple kill for Jiu. They just need to wait for the conga line of minions, and the Noodle Boys will do it here in game 1 against T1. We're going to have to see some better champions picked from our third place team here in the LCK if they want to be able to reign supreme against NONGSHIM. And you best believe DK and KT are